Hello IELTS aspirants, welcome to a new video from IELTS Endeavour. Thank you all for subscribing to the channel, and those of you who have not subscribed, please kindly go ahead and do that because I will be discussing more cue cards, essays, graphs, letters. You can let me know and I'll help you out with it. And so without further ado, let's get started. Today I'm going to be discussing a new cue card. Let's have a look at our cue card. The cue card says, talk about a speech which somebody delivered and you heard. Okay, so this is technically about a speech. Now, you should say who gave this speech, what was the topic of the speech, did it impress you, and explain why you liked or disliked this speech. Okay, so it's a simple enough cue card. And that is going to be the second part of your speaking. The cue card is the second part of your speaking. It's the long turn speaking, so you'll have to speak for at least 2 minutes. Now let's have a look at the cue card questions in detail. First thing they have asked us, who gave this speech, right? Second thing they have asked is the topic. What was the topic? The third is the impression, and the fourth is the details. So I'm going to be taking a very commonly heard speech, a very popular speech which was given by Steve Jobs in 2005. So just to show you how you can do a cue card, I am going to take the example of this particular speech. If you like it, I'm sure you've heard it. If you like it, you can use this one. If you liked some other speech, then you can change a few things and make your own answer. But I'm going to show you how to do it. So in the who part, you will start with, this speech was given by Mr. Steve Jobs, who was the CEO of Apple and Pixar. So you talk about the name of the person and who they are, who gave this speech. Okay. The topic of the speech was stay hungry, stay foolish. That was the topic. It was for students. It was to encourage them to keep looking for new things, to keep looking for the things that they love. Okay. So the topic was stay hungry, stay foolish. Now the impression. Did it impress you? Did it not impress you? So generally, we would say I was deeply impressed by this speech. It was a very impressive speech, so we can say deeply impressed. Now, the most important part is the details, the last part of the cue card, which is this. Explain why you liked or disliked the speech. So now we will give some details about the speech and why we liked it. So first thing you can say is, I saw this on YouTube, because if you're not at Stanford, naturally it was a commencement address. So you naturally saw it somewhere else. Most people saw it on YouTube. So we can say that I saw this clip on YouTube. It was given at the Stanford University in 2005. It was a commencement address. So you can tell us or tell the examiner where exactly the speech was given and where you saw it. You can start the details that way. Then, I really liked this speech. The question was, why did you like or dislike it? So we are saying we liked it. So I really liked this speech because it was given to encourage students to find what they love. So I am also a student and it was very motivating for me as well. That is how you can say it. So I really liked this speech because it was given to encourage students to find what they love. Then we can talk about what Mr. Jobs said. Mr. Jobs gave many examples from his own life. He told many stories which were very helpful in understanding how we can get successful. So it was very important. Then we can say the first story was about connecting the dots. This was the part where he talked about how the past connects to the future. So he used this word, connecting the dots. That is why I have used it here. Okay. So the first story was about connecting the dots. It meant that the past makes sense only in retrospect. This is vocabulary right here. Retrospect means when you look back at it. So all the things which are happening to us now don't make too much sense. But when after a couple of years we look back and see our lives in retrospect, in the rear view mirror, then we realize how things changed us and how we are where we are because of the things that happened. So things make sense only in retrospect. Okay. The second story was about love and loss, where he talked about how he was thrown out of his own company and how he founded a new company. So he found the things that he loved. He found, he lost a lot of things that he loved, but he was able to find himself again. And the third was about death. He gave three stories. First was about connecting the dots, second was about love and loss, and the third was about death. He gave a speech about death, or told a story about death, because he had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which due to which he eventually died. But at that time he was suffering from it, and he talked about it so that people would realize that death is a real thing, and once we are gone, only our work will remain. So we have to do good work while we are here. Okay? So he talked about his struggles and how they shaped his life. He talked about all the difficult times that he went through. It really motivated me. It really influenced me. Every time I struggle, I think about this speech and I realize that struggles shape a person's life. Okay, so you can add it to why you liked it. Then he encouraged students to be free thinkers. So stay hungry, stay foolish meant that you have to keep thinking out of the box, keep thinking new ideas. Okay, so this is how you can do a speech. Okay, I'll reiterate. First, you will talk about who gave the speech, who they are. You will talk about the topic of the speech. You will talk about the impression of the speech. Were you deeply impressed? Were you not so impressed? Then you will give the details, where you saw it, when it was given, what did it actually say, the material of the speech, and you can also say how it affected your own life. So that is most important. Why did you like it? That's the important part. So this was about the speech itself. Now coming back to the next part, the third part of your speaking, which is related to the cue card. This is the follow-up. So after you have done speaking for those 2 minutes, you will be asked to do some follow-up questions, which means there will be a discussion related to the cue card that you just answered. So here are a few questions on speeches, okay? And I'll show you how to answer them. So the first question is, what is the difference between a political and a non-political speech? So speeches are of two types generally, political and non-political. So they've asked us what the difference is. So political speeches are given by politicians or activists generally, but non-political speeches can be given by anyone. They can be given by your principal, by your parents, they can even be given by a student, yourself, somebody who is like the CEO of a company. So they can be given by anyone. Political speeches are generally given only by politicians or activists, okay? Then the next is, political speeches are given for political gains. For example, they want votes. So votes are political gains. Non-political speeches are generally for encouragement, like commencement addresses, or any kind of speech which is given by an elder is to give some encouragement to the younger generation. So these are generally for encouragement. Now the next question is important aspects of a good speech. What are the important aspects? What are the important things in a good speech? First is that the speech should be eloquent. It should be well said, well versed, very tightly written, beautifully written. It should be interesting. It should not be boring, otherwise the audience will go to sleep, right? We have all heard some boring speeches and nobody is listening. So it has to be interesting. Then there has to be some value addition. The person who is hearing the speech should get something from it, should gain some experience, some knowledge from it. It should not be without value. So the speech should have some value addition to the listener's life, okay? It should be entertaining. Once again, it should not be boring. It should have some funny moments where people can laugh, right? Some ironic moments which will make them think. So they have to be actively involved. And the speech has to be entertaining and very clear. The words of the person who is speaking should be very clear. The sentences should be of such a length that they should be very easy to understand. Okay, so it should be very clear. Now the next question is, what makes a person a good orator? An orator is a speech giver, a person who speaks publicly. Okay, so what are the qualities of a good orator? First is obviously confidence. If a person is not confident, we don't really want to listen to them. So confidence is very important. Then there is mastery of language. He should be using correct language, whatever language he is speaking in. It's not necessary it's English, but whatever language, whether it is Hindi, Punjabi, or any other regional language also, he has to have the mastery of the language. Then he has to have strong ideas and belief in his ideas. If he does not believe what he is saying, the people listening to him will also not be impressed. So a good orator has to have very strong ideas and belief in his ideas. Then, of course, he has to have a clear voice so that everybody can understand him, and the ability to influence other people, which is called charisma. So some people can easily influence other people. They have charisma. Okay. Then, have you ever given a speech? If yes, did you have a good experience? So either you can say no ma'am or no sir, I have not given a speech in my life. But if you are saying that yes, I have given a speech, then you have to say whether it was a good experience or a bad experience. I am saying in this case that it was a good experience. Let's have a look. So I gave a speech at my school or my college, you can choose either one, on the annual function. Okay, then my teacher helped me prepare it. Usually the teachers look into the students' matter before they go on stage. So you can always say that my teacher helped me prepare the speech. Then what was it about? It was about the importance of guidance for students, like how students need guidance in their lives. You can change the topic to anything. I have just given you a random topic. It was about the importance of guidance for students. Then how did you feel about it? How was the experience? It was a thrilling experience. An exhilarating experience means it was adrenaline pumping. Obviously, you were a little nervous, and that nervousness was making you a little excited also because you were doing it for the first time. So, exhilarating. This is all adding to your vocabulary marks. So, remember, you have to use some good words: thrilling, exhilarating, confidence boosting. So, obviously, after you have given a speech, you are more confident after that because you have already done it once. Then the next time you give a speech, you have more confidence. So it was confidence boosting. So these are the type of questions, the follow-up questions which you can get in your exam. So this is how you can prepare for them. All right. Okay, then I'll see you in the next class. Kindly subscribe to this channel and visit my website at www.freeieltsprep.com. Give this video a thumbs up and share it as much as you can so that your friends can also benefit from it. Thank you so much. See you next time.